Hello, I'm Adarsh Ayushman, originally from India and living in France for over 4 years now. Over the time I have spent in Paris, my impression has definitely evolved. One thing that stands out is how heavily attached French people are to their own culture, history, and especially their language. They really value that heritage. To be honest, in the beginning, I actually had a pretty hard time socializing with locals because I wasn't able to speak French at first. It felt like there was a barrier. But that changed completely once I started learning the language, and more importantly, when I met the person who is now my best friend. Through him, I met his group of friends and they welcomed me in. Now I feel much more integrated than I did in those early days. I think I had that common worry that French people might be distant or hard to get to know. And initially, my experience in class seemed to confirm that. People weren't really opening up or trying to be friends with me, which was tough. But my experience completely flipped when I got to know my best friend here. He proved all those negative ideas wrong, thankfully. He is genuinely one of the coolest, most caring people I've ever met. And honestly, I don't think I've ever had better friends in my life than this group. So yes, my view changed from thinking they were closed off to realizing that once you break through that outer shell, the friendships here are incredibly deep and loyal. I would say the key to the communication style here is effort. Do I find it easy to connect? Now I do, but there is one major condition. You have to try to speak French. It is highly recommended, actually. It's essential to speak their language if you want to build a real connection. Even if you aren't perfect, just showing that respect for the language opens doors. Once I started doing that, the communication style felt much more direct and engaging, but you definitely have to meet them halfway linguistically. Coming from India, there are some interesting contrasts, especially if we look at it through Hofstede's cultural dimensions. Honestly, the work culture here feels quite different in how strict the processes are, but surprisingly similar when it comes to who is in charge. Personally, I sometimes felt a bit constricted by how much structure there is here. In India, we are used to a concept called as jugaad in Hindi, meaning figuring out things as we go. But here, people really need a plan and clear rules before they start. It makes sense because if you look at Hofstede's dimensions, France has extremely high uncertainty avoidance, which is 86, compared to India, which is 40. I really feel that difference. There is a lot of hesitation to take risks without a safety net of rules. On the other hand, the hierarchy felt very familiar to me. I expected it to be totally egalitarian, but I actually feel a similar respect for authority here as I do back home. And the data backs that up. Both countries have high power distance. In India, we depend a lot on the boss for direction, and I've noticed that here in France, despite that debate culture, the decision making is still very centralized and top down. Thank you.